Talk about a crusher. Yes! Oh!
Are you kidding me?
And gone!
Welcome back to the Schoolyard Sports Podcast. On the host of this podcast, Lane Frank, we're now episode 92. It's 92 episodes through, and I got action-packed episode playing for you. Great week of the NFL, great week of college football, MLB playoff race coming down to the wire. You know my Mets and Braves are dogging it out right now. So my Mets just clinched the playoffs, but they're playing the Braves, trying to get that first place. We'll play them in about 2 weeks. That's going to be interesting. Max Scherzer's been playing great. College football is great. NFL is great. Stay tuned for an action-packed episode 92. Let's hop into it. Let's start with episode 92, how we always do, with the headlines in the NFL. First thing I want to say right here in the headlines, Jimmy Garoppolo. Did this make me happy? This made me so happy seeing Jimmy Garoppolo come in. Okay, let me get the breakdown to you of everything with Jimmy Garoppolo. First season, goes to San Francisco, and I've done this so many times in the show, I've explained it, but I'm going to do it again. First season, Jimmy Garoppolo gets traded to San Francisco. They're the second worst team in the league. He gets them 6 straight wins. Second season, he's ACL. They're the second worst team in the NFL. Next season, he comes back. They're the second best team in the NFL. They're the Super Bowl runner-up. Next year after that, he gets banged up a little bit, doesn't play that much. 2020, they don't make the playoffs, and he had a high ankle sprain. They don't make the playoffs. 2021 now, this is where it gets interesting. Jimmy Garoppolo plays, you could say, mediocre for most of the season. Misses, I think, 3 games. Then comes playoff time, and he leads them all the way to the conference championship, about to lead them to a Super Bowl. I mean, Jimmy Ward, if he doesn't drop that interception, yes, he had some mistakes. Jimmy Garoppolo down the way in that game, but Jimmy Garoppolo managed the game so well in the playoffs last year. He managed the game well in the frozen tundra against the Green Bay Packers. He managed the game well in Dallas against the Cowboys. Jimmy Garoppolo is an amazing player, but you heard the breakdown. You get 2 full seasons out of Jimmy Garoppolo, you're going to make the conference championship. That's why I was always a little bit skeptical on Trey Lance. I think a lot of people, with Trey Lance who got drafted, were really excited about him, and now people have fizzled out a little bit on maybe the immaturity issues, maybe a lot more issues with Jimmy Garoppolo. But boy, am I happy to see Jimmy Garoppolo do well. We're going to talk more about the situation later on in the episode. Stay tuned for that. Let's move to Kyler Murray, everybody. Whew! Kyler Murray got his bag this offseason. He got $230 million this offseason, and everybody's saying, oh, he's overrated, he's overpaid. Well, people were also saying that during the Raiders game when they go down 23-7. Well, Kyler Murray proves them wrong, leads a comeback, gets 2 touchdowns, and he gets 2 two-point conversions, both miraculous. I mean, the first 2-point conversion, I don't think any other player in the NFL, not even Lamar Jackson, not even a running back at quarterback, could have done that play. That's the explosiveness of Kyler Murray. That's the extra part of Cliff Kingsbury's offense. The extra part where if a play gets broken, a play's never really broken because Kyler Murray at quarterback. He's going to make those mistakes. He might take a sack on accident. He might throw an interception, but he can also make that play for you. He proved a lot to me in that game. He proved that he doesn't need DeAndre Hopkins to be fully successful against an above-average team. Yeah, what an amazing game that was from Kyler Murray. He proves why he got paid his money this offseason. Now, Jets, everybody. Woo, what a game this was. Garrett Wilson gets his game-winning touchdown. Another quarterback who proved he can still be a starting caliber quarterback in this league. Joe Flacco, everybody. Okay, the Browns had a 99% chance to win. Nick Chubb got the touchdown, all good. But, well, all was good. Joe Flacco got a perfect pass to Corey Davis. Yes, he was wide open, but Joe Flacco has the arm strength to get it there. Broken coverage for the Browns. Okay, Browns fans are saying, ooh, that wasn't so good, but we're good. We won the game. Everything's fine. Well, the Jets recovered the onside kick, and Garrett Wilson gets a touchdown to win the game. The interesting thing right here is Nick Chubb should have had that self-awareness to not score a touchdown, yes. He helped me with my fantasy team. I'm all happy. He got me 32 points for my fantasy football team this week. Jalen Waddle got me 40 points, and Amon-Ra St. Brown got me 40 points. I got 111 points out of those 3 players. Amazing stuff right there from those 3 guys. But I'm not here to talk about my fantasy football team. I'm here to talk about Nick Chubb. The interesting thing here is, though, in the 2020 season, Nick Chubb was put in that exact same situation against the Houston Texans, and he went down. But this situation, he didn't go down. Nick Chubb went for the touchdown. He blamed himself, as he should. Jacoby Brissett probably should have the self-awareness not to throw that interception in the last drive. Maybe they could have kicked a game winner with Cade York. Never know, but what an interesting game that was. I'm not going to say it's the best win of Robert Saleh's career as the Jets head coach because, I mean, there haven't been many wins, but you could say that Bengals win, that Titans win last season are better than this one. But yeah, what a game that was. Browns versus Jets. Jets caught the dub. Tua Tagovailoa, everybody. As people used to call him, Tua turned the ball over. No, now he's Tua Tagovailoa again, everybody. What a game that was. You can down him because he's a lefty. I'm a lefty. Lefties matter in sports, everybody. It doesn't change anything. Tua Tagovailoa is an amazing player, everybody. What a game that was. 6 touchdowns. You can say, oh, he threw 2 interceptions. Who cares? He found his receivers. You could say those plays to Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill were great. But I find those 2 touchdowns to those 2 tight ends, Mike Gesicki had one, another one had one. Just 2 amazing plays, 2 amazing passes where on third down where only his receiver could get it. Only his tight end could get it. He utilizes his 6'6" tight end, and Mike Gesicki gets him his touchdown. Yes, that gritty by Mike Gesicki was absolutely embarrassing. But yeah, what a touchdown that was by Tua Tagovailoa and Mike Gesicki. What a game that was. Lamar Jackson played amazing in that one. He deserves to get that amazing contract. Probably not Patrick Mahomes' money, but damn, you're close to everybody. What a game that was. Tua Tagovailoa, maybe he's the next man up to get a contract, or it could be Jalen Hurts, everybody. Jalen Hurts played absolutely outstanding on Monday Night Football. That was last night. What a game that was against Minnesota Vikings. Minnesota Vikings looked amazing in Week 1, beating the Packers. In Week 2, they looked like their JV football team. It was horrible. So yeah, Minnesota Vikings couldn't do much. Darius Slay had 2 interceptions. Kirk Cousins didn't play well, but that's Kirk Cousins. It's primetime football, everybody. He's not going to do very well. Jalen Hurts played very, very well in that one. I'm happy to see it. My New York Giants also played very, very well, everybody. They beat the Carolina Panthers. It was a dogfight, everybody, but Graham Gano was a deciding factor in this one. He got 17 fantasy points, and he used to be the former kicker for who? The Carolina Panthers, everybody. And they released him. Why? Because they thought he had a career-ending injury. Well, it wasn't career-ending. It was actually career-saving, maybe. Getting out of Carolina, going over to the New York Giants, getting us a game-winning field goal pretty much against Carolina Panthers. Sorry, Baker Mayfield. Daniel Jones played well enough to get us that win. And the Giants are 2-0, and I'm so happy about it. So if the Giants win this week, they could be 3-0 for the first time in, I think, a decade. So that's amazing stuff right there. Giants played great on Sunday. Aiden Hutchinson also played great on Sunday, everybody. My Michigan guy who had a really, really frustrating Week 1. Now, he didn't have that many sacks. He didn't have that many tackles. But you could say, okay, it's Week 1. Who cares? Aiden's a guy who can be tough on himself. I mean, Michigan fans can expect more. But Aiden Hutchinson played amazing in that game, everybody. Getting 3 sacks, doing his awesome celebration. Yeah, Aiden Hutchinson and Detroit Lions, this team's gritty. They're playing well. They're playing under that Detroit motto of the gritness that they have. This is an amazing team. They're gritty. Dan Campbell is a good coach, and Aiden Hutchinson, a good player. I picked him to win Defensive Rookie of the Year. I still think he's going to win it. Cooper Rush, everybody, he was cooking in this one. He beat Cincinnati Bengals in his second career start. First career start came last year against the Minnesota Vikings, but it was Kirk Cousins' primetime, so it didn't really matter. You knew Kirk Cousins was going to lose that game no matter who was the quarterback for the other team. But Cooper Rush played well in this one, beating Cincinnati Bengals. Bengals, 13 sacks, giving up 2 games to Joe Burrow. Everybody said, La'el Collins, who they signed this offseason, said, your personal bodyguard's in town. Nobody's going to sack you. Well, he's been sacked 13 times this season. Not very good. Joe Burrow, interesting thing to look out for right there. Don't start him in your fantasy football lineups. I have him in mind. I started him over Tua Tagovailoa, and it ended me in the end. I lost that game because of that. So yeah, don't start Joe Burrow. I mean, maybe this week is against the New York Jets, but not much more after that. Joe Burrow really struggling so far. Unless you can get something going, I don't recommend starting him in fantasy football. But one last thing here for the NFL headlines. Russell Wilson, everybody, has not been cooking at all. They had a really, really rough game Sunday against the Houston Texans. If you play like that against 15, 16 of those NFL teams, you're not going to win. And I'm not saying this Houston Texans team is horrible, because they're not horrible. They got a good defense. They got a good quarterback, Davis Mills, who could be like the next Matt Ryan or something like that. But Russell Wilson, this is just bad everybody. 16 points. That's not good stuff right there. Russell Wilson, Nathaniel Hackett, are they really playing well? It's really tough to see. I mean, some bad decisions by Nathaniel Hackett. Obviously, some bad decisions by Russell Wilson. Interesting stuff there. That's about for my headlines in the NFL. Let's move to MLB to round out our headlines. Albert Pujols is getting close to 700, everybody. He's at 698. What do you think Albert Pujols will reach 700? Leave your answer in the comment section. In the Mets, everybody, Max Scherzer, I mentioned in the headlines, almost had that perfect game, went 6 innings, and then Tyler McGill, on his first pitch back from the IL, unfortunately gave up a hit, and then I think it was a home run to Rowdy Tellez. So yeah, interesting stuff right there. Mets playing well, though. Steve Cohen was there to watch the Mets clinch the playoffs for the first time since 2016. I remember that 2015 playoff run. That got me into sports, that 2015 Mets playoff run. Next year, 2016, last time he made it was the wild card run, but that 2015 playoff run was special. Making the World Series, everybody. Interesting thing right here. Jacob deGrom has never, ever started a home playoff game at Citi Field. All of his starts in 2015 came on the road. Interesting thing to look out for right there. Jacob deGrom making a playoff start at home at Citi Field this year. But the Mets have just been playing amazing here. But one last thing in the headlines right here. Hunter Green, rookie for the Cincinnati Reds, came back from the IL, and he broke his own record for most 100-mile-per-hour pitches in the game. This guy's a weird picture. He's very, very talented. He's got all the velocity in the world. He can get you a no-hitter, or he can give up 5 runs. That's basically it. There's really no medium there with Hunter Green, because he can give up 1 or 2 hits an outing, or he could give up 10 hits and 5 home runs. It's unpredictable with Hunter Green, just like this headline was. Leave your thoughts in the comment section. That's about for the headlines this week. Now, Schoolyard Sports Game Day, everybody. For our new viewers, we've been doing this since our first season of the show. We're on season 3 now. So since that 2020 NFL season, we picked the top games of the NFL week. This is week 3 of the NFL season. Let's hop into it. Thursday Night Football. Steelers versus Browns. The Browns really struggled last week. Jacoby Brissett, I predict him to lose some confidence after that horrendous pick to lose the game for them. I mean, there are a lot of factors which made them lose that game against the Jets. I mean, it is against the Jets, so you probably should have played better. But Jacoby Brissett loses some of his confidence in this one. That Steelers defense is surrounding everybody. Bill Belichick knows how the game played against them, though. Obviously, he did. They won that game against the Pittsburgh Steelers, but the Browns don't know how to. I got the Steelers winning this one over Cleveland Browns. Big upset. Raiders versus Titans. Both these teams are 0-2. Both these teams want to see themselves 2-0, and they really thought they could see themselves 2-0 with their rosters, but no, they're 0-2. I get the Raiders win the matchup with the 0-2. So Titans stay winless. Raiders get a win, go to 1-2 on the season. Lions versus Vikings. This can be an interesting game. Kirk Cousins, it isn't prime time, so maybe he can win this one. I got the Vikings win this one, everybody. Lions are a good team, but I think the Vikings get back some of that mojo like they had in week 1. Get Justin Jefferson more involved. He's not going up against Darius Slay unless Darius Slay magically reappears to be a Detroit Lion again, which obviously isn't going to happen. So yeah, Detroit Lions lose this one. Sorry, Aiden Hutchinson. Sorry, Dan Campbell. After I just praised you so much in the headlines, but I got Minnesota Vikings taking the dub over the Detroit Lions. Ravens versus Patriots, everybody. This can be a good matchup. Patriots might know how to game plan around Lamar Jackson, might know how to game plan around that horrible secondary like we saw last week. What an action-packed game that was. From the first play of the game, which was a kick return for touchdown, to the last play of the game where a Hail Mary happened. Yeah, amazing stuff in that Ravens versus Dolphins game. And I mean, no defense was played. Defense was optional in that one. Great offense by both teams. Lamar Jackson, first player ever to have a 75-yard rushing touchdown and a 75-yard passing touchdown in a game. So I got the Ravens win this one over the Patriots. Patriots move to 1-2 on the season. Eagles versus Commanders, everybody. I think the Eagles win this one. Jalen Hurts is looking like maybe the MVP of the NFL season. I thought Carson Wentz would play better against the Detroit Lions because he played amazing in week 1 against the Jacksonville Jaguars. And yes, he brought them back at the end. And yes, that was a really tough sequence to see Joey Sly miss that extra point to make it 9 instead of 8. And maybe Carson Wentz could delay a game-winning drive to end the game if it wasn't 9 and if it was 8. So Carson Wentz still impressed me a little bit. I'm going to talk more about Carson Wentz and Frank Reich and Indianapolis Colts and the Eagles a little bit more on this episode. You'll have to see why I'm talking about Colts and Carson Wentz in the same area in a little bit. But I got the Eagles win this one over the Commanders and Carson Wentz return to Philly. 49ers versus Broncos, everybody. 49ers win this one. Okay, Jimmy Garoppolo's a good quarterback. Russ can't cook. He really isn't playing well. Nathaniel Hackett's struggles continue. Kyle Shanahan knows how to take advantage of that. Good defense coordinator Raheem Anderson probably knows that the game plan against Russell Wilson. 49ers have been pretty good against Russell Wilson in his career, so I got the 49ers winning this one over the Broncos. Rams versus Cardinals. Rams played pretty well last week against the Atlanta Falcons. Yes, Jalen Ramsey had that game-sealing touchdown. You'd say, yes, Matthew Stafford had a few touchdowns, but he also had 2 interceptions. It always seems like a guarantee now for Matthew Stafford to have multiple interceptions in the game. He did it last week. He did it this week. So I got Rams losing this one to the Arizona Cardinals. I think Cardinals just find some mojo. They got the momentum after last week. Byron Murphy played amazing last week, getting the game-winning touchdown. Kyler Murray played amazing last week. I think they get the win over Los Angeles Rams in this one. Chiefs versus Colts. I got the Chiefs winning this one. Colts are just playing terrible. They got shut out last week by the Jacksonville Jaguars. They need to get Jonathan Taylor going. They haven't been doing that. So I got the Chiefs winning this one over the Indianapolis Colts. Giants versus Cowboys. This is Monday Night Football. The Giants' only primetime game of the season. And I got the Giants winning this one. I'm sorry, Cooper Rush. You can't win every single start. Maybe that's the bias, me being a Giants fan talking, but I got my Giants winning this one on Monday Night Football. Bills versus Dolphins. This is the game of the week, everybody. It is by far the game of the week. It's the last game we're going to pick right here. I have the Bills winning this one, but it's going to be close. Tua Tagovailoa hasn't really played well against the Buffalo Bills in his career. You remember that Week 17 matchup in his rookie season where they could have made the playoffs if they had a win, but no, they got absolutely steamrolled by Buffalo Bills in that one. Buffalo Bills defense just playing amazing. I think it's going to be a close one. I got the Bills to win this one 37-31 over Miami Dolphins. Look for that run game to get going for Miami. Chase Edmonds played pretty well this week. I want to see that get going, the run game for the Miami Dolphins. But that's about the Schoolyard Sports game this week. Leave your thoughts in the comment section. So we're 3 weeks into the college football season. You get a better understanding now of who is going to be the Heisman contenders and who's not. Yes, it might be a little bit early, but now it's tough to have a good game 3 weeks in a row. It's good to have a good game 1 week in a row in week 1. Okay, you can have 2 games in a row in week 2, but to continue it Week 1, Week 2, and Week 3. That's tough to do. My top 5 Heisman candidates after 3 weeks into the college football season. I want to give 3 honorable mentions right here. Number 1, Blake Corum, who has 7 touchdowns on the season. We got 5 touchdowns, my Michigan Wolverines against UConn. Yes, he doesn't have many yards in the season. Yes, Michigan hasn't been giving him many opportunities to get many yards, but they're giving him that 1 yard line, pylon push, whatever you might call it. So yes, Blake Corum has 7 touchdowns, with some of the most in college football. Blake Corum doesn't have the yards, but he'll get them in Big Ten play. Blake Corum is an honorable mention for the Heisman. Braylon Allen's just been playing amazing. Running back out of Wisconsin. Yes, they could have maybe won that game against Washington State if they gave him more carries. But interesting thing to look out for this week. They're playing Ohio State. I want to see how Braylon Allen plays in that one. That would be interesting to see. It's up in Madison, Wisconsin, so it'll be an interesting game. I want to see Braylon Allen and the Wisconsin Badgers take down Ohio State. But I'm not sure if it's going to happen. I want to see it happen, but I'm not sure. Braylon Allen, get him in more involved. He's an amazing player. Quinn Ewers. Now, this one's interesting. You can say Quinn Ewers is going to be out for the next 5 weeks. No, he's not. He's actually back at practice starting today. He actually might play this week against Texas Tech. Yeah, Quinn Ewers has healed amazingly, apparently. Apparently, it wasn't as big as they thought it would be. Apparently, they took Drew Brees' advice, maybe. No, I'm kidding on that one. But, yeah, Quinn Ewers is a good player, but he can win the Heisman if he plays the rest of these games. If he only misses 1 game, he can win the Heisman. Now, my top 5. Trigger warning right here. It's going to be all quarterbacks, because the Heisman is only all quarterbacks. Here it is, right here. Number 5, Bryce Young. Bryce Young has not impressed me much throughout the season. Yes, in the Mickey Mouse games, he's impressed me, but in the big game against Texas, not so much. Bryce Young, number 5. Number 4, Stetson Bennett. Stetson Bennett might cool off a little bit. He cooled off a little bit in that second game of the season against Charleston Southern, but in the third week, they dogged South Carolina. The first game, they absolutely crushed Oregon. So yeah, Stetson Bennett's been a big part of that. Brock Bowers, I should put him on here. He's been amazing so far. Brock Bowers might be the best player in all of college football, just skill-wise. Regardless of position, Brock Bowers might be the best player in college football. There's always that talk that Kyle Pitts was the greatest player in college football, regardless of position. Brock Bowers might just enter that conversation right now. Brock Bowers could be a Heisman candidate, but right now, I'll put Stetson Bennett right here. Stetson Bennett, number 4. Number 3, Dylan Gabriel, everybody. Dylan Gabriel is a lefty, and he's from Hawaii. I love lefties because I'm a lefty. So Dylan Gabriel is a good player, but he's really shocked me. He can run the ball well. He can throw the ball well. He's not going to throw the ball 70 yards downfield through the air. I mean, he can throw the ball 70 yards, but it might be off of a 30-yard air pass. He doesn't have the Josh Allen cannon. He doesn't have the Patrick Mahomes cannon. Tua Tagovailoa might not have the biggest arm, but he can zip the ball. He can put some velocity on that thing. So can Dylan Gabriel. Dylan Gabriel's played well so far. Number 3, Dylan Gabriel. Oklahoma's a really good football team, everybody. Number 2, CJ Stroud. Okay, that's the Michigan fan me groaning that CJ Stroud comment. So CJ Stroud, number 2, not the greatest player in my opinion, but he's played well so far this season. He put up 77 points against Toledo. I think he's going to cool off a little bit in Big Ten play. I think my Michigan Wolverines are going to mess him up in Week 13. CJ Stroud, 2. Number 1, Caleb Williams, everybody. Caleb Williams is my Heisman favorite going into the season, and he still is. That's about my top 5. Leave your thoughts in the comment section. Now, did you know, and this week's a really, really good did you know. Did you know the Miami Dolphins were down 21 points in the fourth quarter to the Baltimore Ravens? They were the first team in a decade to overcome a 21-point deficit and win the game in regulation in a decade. Did you know that? Leave that in the comment section. Did you know the Miami Dolphins were the first team to have a 21-point comeback in the fourth quarter since 2012? Did you know that? Leave that in the comment section. That's about what I didn't know this week. You already know how I'm excited for this one. It's the Schoolyard Sports Scream, and it's not the Urban Meyer Award this week, but it's the Schoolyard Sports Scream Award this week. The 2 recipients are 2 head coaches, 2 completely different levels of football, college football and the NFL. Frank Reich of the NFL, Indianapolis Colts head coach, and Brian Harsin of Auburn in college football in the SEC. We're going to scream on Frank Reich first. Frank Reich, you are maybe the biggest idiot in the NFL right now. And you might say, whoa. We're 1-1 on the season. We're 1-1 on the season. They don't even have a win yet. They're 1-1 on the season so far. Why are we so bad? There's teams that are 0-2. Why are you screaming on me? Well, Frank Reich dumped Carson Wentz after he pleaded so much in that 2020 offseason to get Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz, when that Hard Knock show started last year for them, from that point on to week 18, actually, he had 250 passing yards in all of those games leading up to Week 18. John Taylor exploded in all those games except for Week 18. Frank Reich cannot win in Jacksonville. The Indianapolis Colts cannot win in Jacksonville no matter what season it is. I think it's been since 2012 that they haven't won in Jacksonville. It's ludicrous. The one season, 2 seasons ago, where the Jacksonville Jaguars went 1-15, their one win was against the Colts in Jacksonville, week 1. So yeah, Schoolyard Sports Scream, I'm screaming on Frank Gregg right here. Matt Ryan over Carson Wentz? Yeah, Carson Wentz has been playing pretty well for the Washington Commanders, better than Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan played horrible. And if you're going to have Matt Ryan not throw the ball that much against Jacksonville Jaguars, have John Taylor run the ball more. John Taylor should have at least had 35 carries in that game against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jacksonville Jaguars don't have this, elite defense. Matt Ryan made it seem like they did. Frank Gregg made it seem like they did. I'm screaming on you, Frank Gregg, this week, not Chris Ballard. He put a gay team. He got you Shaquille Leonard, who's been out this season. He got you Jonathan Taylor, who you're not utilizing. He got you Michael Pittman, who played great in week 1. I know he didn't play in week 2, but I'm still not giving Frank Gregg a slide. Yeah, that's interesting stuff right there. Go out there, find a better tight end. Go out there, utilize more players. Go out there. You shouldn't have gone with Carson Wentz. You shouldn't have gone Matt Ryan. You should have stuck with Carson Wentz. I'm screaming on you this week, Frank Gregg. You're my Schoolyard Sports Scream recipient. Next one, you're at Brian Harsin. Whew. He almost got fired this offseason after 1 season at Auburn. They went 6-7. Oh, that's terrible. They lost to Houston in the bowl game, and they should have won against Alabama, but they blew it that. You got Tank Bigsby, who is maybe the most talented running back in college football, but he's looking like a lower-level college football running back. Tank Bigsby's an amazing player, but you're not utilizing him well. You got TJ Finley, who's about the size of a tight end at quarterback, who can't throw the ball for anything. You got Zach Calzada on the bench, who beat Alabama last year. Isn't the end goal for Auburn to beat Alabama? Well, start the guy who beat Alabama, who's consistent last year for A&M. Start him. Start Zach Calzada. Start Robbie Ashford. I know we got some playing time. Start him. Anything better than TJ Finley. And I'm sorry, TJ Finley. This isn't fully on you. This is more on Brian Harsin. Whew, I'm mad right now. You're in the SEC. This school is a storied program. And they went out and they hired the Boise State head coach. Whew. So yeah, tough move by Auburn. Tough move by Brian Harsin. Get a better recruiting class. Get better players. That's my scream right there on Brian Harsin and Frank Gregg. Leave your thoughts in the comment section. That's Power of Schoolyard Sports Scream this week. So everybody loves to talk about the Bill Belichick coaching tree, and everybody loves to watch their team on Sunday put up a lot of points, have a really good offense. Well, I can guarantee you, every team in the NFL right now, outside of Cliff Kingsbury and the Arizona Cardinals, that has an offensive coach probably was under Mike Shanahan, everybody. Let me list you the coaches of the coaching tree that were under Mike Shanahan. Matt LaFleur, Green Bay Packers head coach. Nathaniel Hackett, Denver Broncos head coach. Arthur Smith, Atlanta Falcons head coach. Kyle Shanahan, 49ers head coach, son of Mike Shanahan. Mike McDaniel, head coach of the Miami Dolphins. He's been great so far. Robert Saleh, head coach of New York Jets. I know he's a defensive coach, but Robert Saleh's still there. Zach Taylor, head coach of the Cincinnati Bengals. Ooh, he did a great job last year getting them to the Super Bowl. Anthony Lynn, former head coach, Los Angeles Chargers, currently with the San Francisco 49ers right now. He's been a good head coach in his career. Kevin Stefanski, current Browns offensive coach. Clint Kubiak, former offensive coordinator of the Minnesota Vikings. Gary Kubiak, former head coach of the Broncos, won a Super Bowl with Peyton Manning and went to 2. Peyton Manning with the Denver Broncos. And Shane Waldron, offensive coordinator for the Seattle Seahawks. There's probably way more names I could have mentioned on this list, but that's elite, everybody. That is insanely elite. Every good offensive coordinator, every good head coach in the game, it seems like, has been under Mike Shanahan. Everybody loves to talk about the Bill Belichick coaching tree. I already said that. It could be Matt Patricia, who didn't do well. It could be Brian Flores, who didn't do well. It could be all these guys who didn't do well. I think the new wave of gang head coaches is gang and young offensive coordinator. And I don't know who's going to start the next head coaching tree. It could be Kyle Shanahan. It could be Sean McVay. You've seen Sean McVay start one already with Brandon Staley going over to the Los Angeles Chargers, with Kevin O'Connell going over to the Minnesota Vikings. So yeah, crazy stuff right here. Mike Shanahan. I mean, is he the elite offensive coach of all time? He didn't win that many Super Bowls. Interesting stuff right there, but the development of all these coaches. Kyle Shanahan, Mike McDaniel. Wow. Didn't know that? Leave that in the comment section. That's about it for Spotlight this week. Now, College Football Showcase. If you don't know our usual rundown of College Football Showcase, I do my top 25, then I do my games of the week. Let's hop into my top 25. Let's do it right now. Number 1, Georgia. Number 2, Alabama. Number 3, Ohio State. Number 4, Michigan. Number 5, USC. Number 6, Oklahoma. Number 7, Arkansas. Number 8, Clemson. Number 9, Kentucky. Number 10, North Carolina State. Number 11, Penn State. Number 12, Ole Miss. Number 13, Texas. Number 14, Oregon. Number 15, Texas A&M. Number 16, BYU. Number 17, Baylor. Number 18, Florida. Number 19, Utah. Number 20, FSU. Number 21, Miami. Number 22, Tennessee. Number 23, Minnesota. Number 24, Washington. Number 25, UCLA, Bruins everybody, who host their games in the Rose Bowl. Let's hop into it. UCLA, number 25. I mean, that Rose Bowl crowd is horrible. It's an off-campus stadium. It's absolutely terrible, the crowds they get in Pasadena for those games. And they beat South Alabama by 1 point. If South Alabama doesn't make a questionable coaching call late in that game, UCLA is sitting at 2-1 right now, not 3-0. But this UCLA team still got potential. Dorian Thompson-Robinson is still an explosive quarterback. Zach Charbonnet is still an explosive running back. I still got hope in this team. It's a risky move keeping them in my top 25, but I'm keeping them at number 25. Let's move to the top. Number 1, Georgia. Yes, they've just been consistent. They dominated South Carolina. Number 2 is Alabama. I mean, they had an easy game. Who they played? UL Monroe. Ohio State, number 3. They put up 77 points. Number 4, my Michigan Wolverines, who dominated against UConn 59-0. We got a match against Maryland this week. Number 6, Oklahoma. Oklahoma played great against Nebraska. I'm shocked to see that. Nebraska got an amazing first drive, got a touchdown, and then had nothing after that until the end of the game. Last drive with Chuba Purdy running in for a touchdown. Number 10, North Carolina State. North Carolina State beat Texas Tech after I said they would lose. They gave North Carolina State prove something to me right there. North Carolina State, number 10. Number 16, BYU had a rough loss to Oregon. I got Oregon there at number 14. So, yeah, tough loss there for BYU. Good win there for Oregon. I picked Oregon to beat BYU, and they did. So, Oregon gets a good win over BYU. Number 15, Texas A&M. They had that good win over Miami. It's just Texas A&M slotted in at number 15. Number 19 was Utah. I'm putting them 1 behind Florida. I mean, they've just been playing great since that Florida game. They put up 70 points 2 weeks ago. They played great in this one. I mean, this was an interesting game for Utah. They lost to San Diego State last year. They could have made the college football playoff last year if they didn't lose San Diego State. They actually probably would have made the college football playoff last year over Cincinnati. They didn't lose to San Diego State, but they did. They beat them by a lot this year, though. Utah gets slotted at number 19. 22, Tennessee, tough matchup this week against Florida. That's my game of the week that I may pick in the end. Number 24, Washington, who absolutely obliterated Michigan State. Minnesota, number 23, who's playing Michigan State this week. Leave your thoughts in the comment section. That's about my top 25. Now, games of the week, the second part of College Football Showcase. You know how we do it. I'm going to give maybe one spread pick, one upset pick, my Michigan pick, and then the game of the week, everybody. This week is Florida versus Tennessee. Let's hop into it. My one spread pick is Vanderbilt plus 40 versus Alabama. This Vanderbilt team is 2-1. Clark Lee, former Notre Dame defense coordinator, said he wants to get Vanderbilt to be the best program in the country. They're not going to be the best program in the country ever because of the academics that they have. But they could be a top 25 team, maybe 2 years in a row, you could say. It's not going to happen for a little bit, but that could happen. That could be a goal for Vanderbilt gang to be a top 25 team, maybe some consistency there. But Vanderbilt is sitting at 2-1 right now with a close loss to Wake Forest. I have Vanderbilt plus 40 versus Alabama. Now, the last time Vanderbilt played Alabama week 4, it was in the 2017 season, and they said, we want Bama. We're going to beat Bama. We're 3-0, and we're going to beat Bama. We're under Derek Mason. They proceeded to lose 59-0 next week. Now it's in Bama. This is going to be an interesting game right here. I got Vanderbilt plus 40. I think they maybe lose by 39. It's going to be about 40 points is a lot of points, everybody. Nobody beats the SEC team by 40 points even. I mean, I really have a tough time seeing Alabama beat Vanderbilt by 40 points. This is a more improved Vanderbilt team. Mike Wright's a good quarterback. They beat Northern Illinois last week. They're sitting 2-1 right now. So I got Vanderbilt getting closer than 40 points with Alabama. Maybe they lose by 21. Maybe they lose by 35. I don't know. That's my pick right there for Vanderbilt versus Alabama. Now, Stanford wins over Washington, everybody. Everybody loves to talk about how Kalen DeBoer and Michael Penix Jr. are the next great thing in college football. Kalen DeBoer is going to be a great head coach, and Michael Penix is going to be a Heisman contender because they beat Michigan State. Well, I got a newsflash for you. Stanford played pretty dang well against USC. Yes, they put up a lot of points, but their defense couldn't keep up with USC's offense. I don't think any defense in the country can keep up with USC's offense. They had a bye week last week, so they had all week to prepare for this Washington game. The spread's plus 14. I got them outright in this one. Give me Stanford outright versus Washington. Tanner McKee gets a signature win after last year they got their signature win against Oregon. Tanner McKee gets the win over Washington in this one. Now, the game of the week. The game you've all been waiting for me to pick. Florida versus Tennessee. Here's my breakdown. Tennessee's 2-1 this season. They beat Ball State. They beat Pittsburgh in overtime, and they beat Akron. Now, they had an amazing game against Akron. They put up a lot of points. They had an amazing game against Ball State. They put up a lot of points. Against Pitt, they would have lost that game if Keaton Slovis was that quarterback. Now, Keaton Slovis and this Pitt team aren't the best team in college football at all, so that's a little bit scary right there. That's why I have Florida winning this one, everybody. Now, it's an interesting pick. I had Florida beating Utah week 1. Nobody really had Florida beating Utah, but they did. Nobody's really having Florida beat Tennessee in this one because they lost to Kentucky and they almost lost to South Florida last week. It was a tough game against South Florida. They had a lot of things go their way, and they still couldn't beat them by that much. But I got Florida winning over Tennessee. Anthony Richardson still doesn't have a passing touchdown this season, but that doesn't bother me one bit. I think they get some zone reads in this one. I think Billy Napier finds Anthony Richardson to get going. I got Hendon Hooker and the Tennessee Volunteers losing this one in Neyland Stadium. I'm sorry, Tennessee fans. I'm sorry, the Volunteers. I got you guys losing this one. I hope mustard balls and golf balls don't get thrown into the fields at Billy Napier this time. Like you have with Lane Kiffin last season. Let's hope it doesn't happen. I got Florida beating Tennessee in Neyland Stadium. I think it's going to be a night game. College game day is going to be there. That's why I have College Ball Showcase this week. Florida wins the game of the week. Leave your thoughts in the comment section. Now, at the buzzer, and here's an unpopular opinion I'm going to throw out here right now. I said a couple weeks ago that the Browns would go 4-11, and I think they would only get like 4 wins leading up until Deshaun Watson's return, which really wouldn't have been that good for them. And that was a really big hot take. But I think this one might be bigger. Philadelphia Eagles, everybody, might just be the best team in the NFL. They got Jalen Hurts throwing the ball amazing. They got Jalen Hurts running the ball amazing. They got Miles Sanders running the ball amazing. They got Boston Scott running the ball amazing. They got this offensive line led by Jason Kelce playing pretty well. And then they've got this receiving group led by A.J. Brown playing well. They got Devontae Smith. They got Jalen Reagor. They got him out of that locker room. They got Dallas Goedert, one of the best tight ends, one of the most underrated tight ends in the game at tight end. They got Jordan Davis. They got on the D-line. They got Brandon Graham on the D-line. It's a good D-line. They got a good secondary with Darius Slay, who had 2 interceptions. Monday Night Football. This is a very good team, everybody. They got Jake Elliott at kicker. I could go through the whole app. I'm a Giants fan, everybody, so it's a little bit tough to see the Eagles doing well. But Eagles could be the best team in the NFL right now, no joke. But another team that could be the best team in the NFL is the Buffalo Bills, everybody. Someone put out a tweet that this world, this country, might not have the infrastructure to handle a Bills versus Eagles Super Bowl. They would have people jumping on tables, breaking chairs inside the stadium. They would allow it in Arizona for the Super Bowl this year. That would be insane. Super Bowl 57, I think. But yeah, wild stuff. Eagles and the Bills looking like 2 of the best teams in the NFL right now. Do you think the Eagles are a very good team? Leave your thoughts in the comment section. Now, the best for last, question day. When or will Albert Pujols reach 700 home runs? Leave your answer in the comment section. That's about for question this week. I think he reaches it. I do. I think he gets to the 700 home run club. He already passed A-Rod for 4th all time, but I think he gets into that 700 club. That's about for question there, everybody. That's about for Schoolyard Sports and Lane Frank, episode number 92. Thank you for tuning in. Follow Schoolyard Sports on Instagram at Schoolyard Sports. Follow Schoolyard Sports on Twitter at Schoolyard Sport. Follow DB Podcast, the best podcast producers in the game, on social media at DB Podcast. Don't forget, subscribe, rate, review for the best sports content in the world. We'll be back next week, episode 93. Stay tuned.